So welcome back, everyone. It is great to see all of you. And my gosh, we've got so many people here today. So now that we know what imposter syndrome is, we've done that over the last week or two, all right? Defined it, kind of peeled back the layers. And also what it costs a person, more importantly. Now let's look at what we need to do about it. If and when we choose to do the work necessary to get past it. It is doable, all right? I also hope that based on last week's podcast, you're starting to realize, at least starting to realize, that despite the fact that those feelings of fear, insecurity, and sometimes shame are very real to you, that your actual experience with imposter syndrome, the validity that fear, the insecurity, the shame would be based on, is entirely unwarranted. It's one thing to feel the feeling. It's another thing to validate it as truth. And if you're not there yet, that there is enough evidence on the other side of the scale that you're not an imposter, you're just like everybody else. There's room to grow. You've made mistakes. We will continue to make mistakes, hopefully not the same ones repeatedly. If that's not clear to you, go back to last week and the week before and re-listen to it. All right, let that information percolate down. All right, so it's unwarranted. Let's get you to that point. But that doesn't mean that you aren't definitely imperfect, just like me, just like everybody else. It's not a zero-sum thing, black and white, all right? Yeah, we are all definitely imperfect. Until our last breath, in some ways, we are going to be imperfect. We're just going to get better at sorting out the stuff that's getting in the way. It's okay to be imperfect about many, 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 many things. Everything in life doesn't need to be perfect or anywhere near it. Sometimes your vulnerabilities, your imperfections, I know it's certainly true in my case, are your most endearing qualities. Okay, like, I'm proud of the fact that I thought it was a cement wall. Okay, that's okay. That's not what I want to be good at. I've got great people who know, some of them apparently are in the podcast audience today, that it's actually a firewall. Woo! I'm a little wiser. Hopefully I won't make that mistake again. It's always worth a laugh. All right, so even if there are areas in your life where it would be in your best interests to grow and develop, that doesn't mean that until you do manage your feelings better, the shame, the blame, the fear, that you're inadequate. Can you realize that? Let's go over that again, because that is so important. That even though you are definitely, along with me and everybody else, not just here today, wherever you're going to bump into people, you are definitely imperfect, just the way you're supposed to be. And even if there are areas in your life that legitimately it would be in your best interest, it would be in my best interest to grow and develop, that doesn't mean that until we get there, we're inadequate. Let that sink in. I want people to repeat that to themselves every single day. Put it on a sticky on your bathroom mirror. Until I get to better in whatever areas I think are important, it doesn't mean I'm inadequate. I'm imperfect, but I'm not inadequate. Okay. So living in fear of discovery actually, in my opinion, is just a form of cruel and unwarranted self-punishment. Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you punish yourself like that? Ask yourself that. You're like everyone else. You came into this world. I did, you did, everybody else did. Equal, maybe not socioeconomically. Let's not delude ourselves. There are some people have privilege. However, as human beings, wherever you are, you're equal and you're worthy. And no matter what mistakes, legitimate, horrible mistakes, maybe big, super mistakes you've made along the way, so long as you own them and you make up as best you can for any hurt or possible damage that you've done to others, everyone is allowed to redeem themselves. Everyone is allowed to redeem themselves, and that includes you. All right, so now let's look at ways to move beyond the fear of that fear of being on the edge of being discovered. All right, and you too can find some humor in your version of cement wall the next time you step out on the ledge and go, whoa, that's okay, well, that's not a landing. Maybe I'd bounce. And the shame, the self-punishment, the shame you feel about not feeling good enough. So Jennifer Hunt, every time I talk on a topic with you, I get one or two other sources. I speak from my own clinical experience, but I try to add a body of knowledge for you folks who, if something really resonates with you, you have another source to go to. My specialty is hoarding and the ancillary issues that I say feed it. And hoarding can be clutter. It can be mental clutter. It can be digital clutter. It can be any form of clutter, okay? So Jennifer Hunt, MD, wrote a book called Unlocking Your Authentic Self. And she said it better than I ever could, so I'm going to quote her. First, for the vast majority of us, all right, our current habits are a little like being on a thoroughfare. Patterns of what we've done and the feelings that we have about common experiences we have are stored on what is known as neural pathways, and they're well traveled. The more you believe something, the more you say it to yourself, the more you do something, good, bad, or indifferent, the more you pave and raise the speed limit on that particular neural pathway, all right? And we can go there pretty fast when we do something good, bad, or indifferent. The more we do it, the faster we can get to that point. Okay, so let's make sure it's somewhere we want to go. Okay, and the consistent brain firing sequences make habits very, very easy, way too easy to slip back into. So be aware, have patience with yourself, be gentle with yourself, have compassion. If you set an intent to do something or not do something, and you find yourself more easily slipping that way, that's just a shortcut that you have formed. You can form another neural pathway. You can. You form that one, you can form this one. It isn't rocket science. Your brain is programmed and ready to do it. It doesn't require any skill. Your body is on autopilot, and it knows how to do this. Give it a chance. Imagine where you want and believe you want and need to be. A lot. Picture it. Think about it. Catch yourself when you're off track. Okay? And you will be creating those neural pathways. All right. Okay. Contrary to popular belief, it is not just a matter of willpower. The concept of willpower, in my humble opinion, is garbage. All right. It's garbage. It's just a shortcut that blames the victim when really there are ways to counteract what people want to claim is willpower. It's next to, and the other thing I want you to know is it's next to impossible just to give something up. All right? To remove a behavior. Why would you pick the hard way? If you're working on something that is difficult, why would you pick the hard way? The thing to do instead is to replace it. The universe, our system, is not comfortable with voids, empty spaces. They will fill a void. It's like water. All right? Our systems, our minds, our surroundings don't like voids. So stop trying to eliminate a behavior and replace it with a new, start with the thought. Start with the visualization. Repeat many times. Know what it looks like. You can't hit a target if you don't know what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells like, what it would be like. Picture it, think it, fill in the colors, all right? And then start making tiny changes that form a pattern in the direction you want to go. And those tiny changes become easier practices. You increase your repertoire of behavior to choose from. You can still make that losing choice. All right, and sometimes you will, sometimes I do. All right, yeah. And you know what, so what? Make it less. Make the one that's leading you, the picture in your mind of where you want to be, what you need to do to get there. Make that a frequent thought to begin. And then those same neural pathways won't be speed dialed to old thinking. And therefore, old behaviors and old patterns of choice that we have made in the past. All right, so start, get a pile driver and start breaking up that pathway. Start building another pathway. All right, your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul, if you believe in a soul, are hardwired to want to help you do that. It's just try to overwhelm the negative thought patterns. The second thing not to do is just to try to overwhelm them. All right, by whatever, with simple insertions of unauthentic positive self-talk. Let's go over that one. The second thing not to do, like willpower, like believing in willpower, all right, is to just try to overwhelm negative thought patterns in some way. All right, maybe by being mean to yourself. Maybe by judging yourself, maybe by shaming yourself, maybe by indulging and letting those immediate, involuntary feelings of shame or fear, maybe engaging in those is overwhelming yourself. Oh yeah, and I know what that feels like, and and then you're really into it. And then instead of picturing the way out, you're picturing the swill you're in of fear and shame. Doesn't work. I'm just going to write affirmations on the bathroom mirror, all right? Because they looked good in a book, all right? They don't mean a darn thing to me. They don't hit my truth. They don't open me up. But that's what I'm going to practically wall. I'm feeling so overwhelmed. I'm going to practically wallpaper. Okay, everywhere I go, on the kitchen, on the fridge, in this, don't eat the ice cream. Okay. Hello, no. A picture of somebody who doesn't have a body shape or a body type, anything like you, and certainly doesn't have the life you're looking to enrich. All right. On the fridge as an example of what? Self-punishment? Are you overwhelming yourself with some form of unrealistic, unauthentic, quasi-positive self-talk? Just tell yourself the truth, your own truth, kindly, compassionately. What are the kind, compassionate messages that you deserve to hear to help you take the path you're meant to be on? Don't settle for unauthentic. If it doesn't resonate with you, it's one of two things. It's a really bad message, phony, or you're not the student who is ready for the teacher. It's okay. Life's a process. Something that everybody else thinks is profound may not make sense to you right now. And that's perfectly okay. You're at a different point on the path, folks. Let yourself be. Treat yourself with respect, humanity, and compassion. And stop the beating yourself up and judging yourself. All right, if today was the last day that each one of us was going to be on this earth, God willing it's not, is that the way you'd want to spend it? Spend your days the way if it was your last, you would be happy you spent it. And sometimes that is being tough with yourself. Tough isn't mean. Tough is based on actual reality, areas that you know you want to grow in. And telling yourself the tough truth is not the same as abusive self-talk. All right, you know the difference because you don't cringe when you hear it. You feel humble, you feel open. All right, all right. So we're looking for authentic self-talk, authentic positive messages to yourself. So David Burns, I quoted him a fair bit. He is the author of a whole series. He's just a psychological genius, in my opinion. A feeling good series. All right, and he's got a gazillion books. Each one of them is great. All right. Many others have said the same thing, but he's really well known for saying this. That's why I credit him. I also firmly believe it. And I'm no slouch myself. Okay, so rarely is it the event itself. Now, I'm a hard-headed Irish woman, all right? It took me a lot. I had a real fight with myself to learn and accept this, but I offer it to you. I swear it's the truth. Rarely is it the event itself that harms you. It's the meaning you apply to it. Because the meaning you apply to it is the power you give it. All right. The truth is meant to resonate with you and wake you up. It is not meant to shame you. It is not meant to make you feel less than or inadequate. And there's no question that having a positive outlook and attitude will give us a better feeling of well-being and happiness, right? Giving yourself a pep talk can also be useful. In Conquer the Clutter, there's a whole intro section where I tell you about a time in my life. I certainly found that when I was barely getting through a period of profound loss in my life, a gentle, compassionate, reality-based talk to myself really did help. That was the time in my life when I was struggling to find and access my strengths. I was so overwhelmed with grief, especially strengths that I needed. And I had to come to truth chat with myself. And it did help. It was also, though, the fact that I couldn't see how. I was looking for my strengths. I knew they had to be in there somewhere, but they were like lost in a big handbag. All right, somewhere at the bottom, and I couldn't find them. Okay. But the one thing I did do, and it wasn't arrogance, it wasn't conceit, it wasn't even necessarily at that time self-confidence. I kept the faith that, like other times in my life when I've had challenges, I trusted there was a way that I could find it. And I just kept getting back up. And lots of times, lots of days, I got knocked down. And I wasn't knocking myself down. All right. Sometimes there are times in your life you're meant to learn a lesson. And the lesson is, I'm a survivor. Even if you feel overwhelmed and pummeled right now, if you're showing up here, you're a survivor. You're not in bed with the covers pulled up over your head, canceling the day. Once in a while, maybe that's okay. Okay? Once in a while, one day, once in a while. If it becomes a pattern, come on, join us. Just keep getting back up. Right now, I want to take a second away, and I want everyone to write down something that would be a really, really important thing that you want to work on. Maybe something that's in the back of your mind, throughout your week that brings you here so regularly. And I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to have you part of this community. All right? Because there's hope. That's why I make it free, is that it doesn't cost anybody. Nobody gets left behind. There's a way for people to get help. All right? I'm also Canadian. So we are each other's brother. Okay, so what is that thing that you want to work on that is important to you? It can be anything. And right underneath it, I want you to write big letters. Keep getting back up. Okay? Keep getting back up. It's a little like being an athlete or a competitor. Even though, and remember the story about the Highland dancing and the judge who said, is this a new dancing name? What steps are these? Because I was having so much fun dancing that I got distracted. I forgot my steps, so I made them up. Okay, you know what? It's a moment in life. What can I tell you? You can choose two ways. Okay, guys? This is my theory right now about that. You can choose one of two ways. It can either be something you talk about to a therapist on the couch, or it can be something you laugh at. It's in the past. Make it something you can chuckle at. Don't drag it along with you like a 10-ton cement stone. All right? Just let it go. Let it go. Nobody else remembers it except you. Okay, so like being an athlete or a competitor, that's the metaphor I want to kind of use here. Even though you sure don't feel like one in the moment, all right? So when you're running that marathon and you're coming up to the wall, you feel like nigh onto a corpse at that point, all right? But you're still in the game. What's the worst that can happen? Just try whatever that visualization, that thought pattern, that those neural pathways that you're trying to build, you're working to build, the place that you want your mind and your behavior to go, it's going to lead you in the direction you believe is your best path. Try it. Okay, keep the faith. You don't need to feel like a winner. You don't need to feel like anything other than you feel right this moment, no matter how good, bad, or indifferent that is. You're good enough. You're ready. You're here. This proves it. Try it. What does the next step look like? What do you imagine it could be? Try it. And you know what? If you got a little bit of progress out of it, practice it. Repeat, 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 repeat. If it didn't lead you, if trying that, what that next step looked like didn't lead you in the direction that you really believe you need to, is in your best interest to go, delete, 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 delete. Try it. Train yourself to remain positive. Even when you foul up, you have learned something from that. Delete, delete, immediately delete. Do not repeat. All right? And that's the self-talk. When you completely screw up, what I want you to say to yourself is, wow, what have we learned from this, grasshopper? We never want to do this again. Okay, I will remember this. Do not do this again or anything like it. What do I do instead? Imagine the path. And then this is what you do. This is what you do when you're not sure. Take it up a notch. How do you do that? Through visualizing. Actually sit and imagine what it looks like to have what you want happen. I tried that a few times, and I have to tell you, I really put a lot of imagining into. There are 2 or 3 times in my life when the outcome was very important. All right. And I just sat, closed my eyes repeatedly. It was not a one-trick wonder. This is not a cocktail party trick. Okay. This is you making an effort on your own behalf. And each of those times, it worked out scary true. Your mind has the power to create your future. It really does. So be really careful what you let it think and how far you let those thoughts go, because you'll be creating your future. Okay? This isn't some new age psychobabble. This is the science of your brain, and it gets right down to neural pathways. And some pretty smart, pretty successful people, myself not being one of them, physicians, brain surgeons, can speak to the truth of the power of neural pathways and the destruction of damaged ones. Okay? So visualization is where you want to go. What do you want? What do you need to have happen? It's not simply a matter of saying something positive to yourself. You've got to picture it. You've got to imagine step by step. What would the next thing be? And then what? And then what? And color in all the colors. Think of if there are other actors or other factors. If this, then that. All right. It's not just sitting down and having a positive talk to yourself. It's a matter of actually being open to believing what you're saying to yourself. And my theory on things that I don't know well, or like firewall, is that even what appears to be the most absurd, if it isn't my area of expertise, I'm open to the possibility there could be some truth to it. That's how I keep my mind open. I can't imagine a path I'd ever want to go down, but there could be some truth to it. All right. Probably not absolute truth, because there are no absolutes. There's no absolute good either. All right. All right. Then you need to look and find. This is what I was talking about authentic self-talk. Those affirmations, they have to be authentic to you. And so we've got 43 people here today, right now. All right. There might be 43 different versions. That's okay. There is no one truth wonder. You have your own truth. And it will resonate with you when you hear it. Go, want to know more about that? That has possibilities. Curious about that. You know, I can actually see ways that that could work. May not be the whole story. May just be another safe, productive step along the path you want to take. It beats imposter syndrome, right? You know what you know. You don't claim to know everything. And next week, we're going to talk about why that's so important. Why that humble belief about yourself is so important. Because you're an asset then. If you can respect yourself despite the fact you know you don't know it all, but you know what you know, you're an asset. Sitting quietly, being afraid that you might just be being discovered as an imposter, occupies all the time and space inside you in fear. And how the heck are your strengths supposed to break through there? How can you say to yourself, I don't know it all, but I know what I know. And I'm open to being wrong. If somebody can show me valid evidence otherwise, I am open to growing and changing my mind. All right, but right now, this is where I am. This isn't who I am. This is where I am. Big difference. So those affirmations you say to yourself, they must have valid meaning for you. Otherwise, don't tell yourself something that just sounded good in a book. Make it your own. Imposter syndrome has a strong vein of decreased self-esteem running through it. Allowing yourself to be imperfect and putting as much effort into identifying your legitimate strengths. We're talking strengths here, people. We're not talking perfection. We're not talking excellence necessarily. We're talking strengths. And then reminding yourself, don't go to fear. And if you do, don't stay there. Neural pathway. What's the path out of here? Get me out of here now. Okay, the way out of here is to say something positive that is true. Always deal from your strengths. All right? And never go to fear as a starting point or as an ending point either, for that matter. The third thing not to do is just to tell yourself, fake it till you make it. I know that is a popular adage, and if it works for people, I think it's a poor second to allowing yourself to being imperfect and committing to areas that you want to make a priority to know more and get better at. It never. If you wouldn't beat somebody else up, why would you beat yourself up? Come on, really, come on. All right? There will be no faking it, people, in this group, okay? We're not committing to faking it. There will be, what do I need? Where is it? And how do I get enough of it to make a difference in this moment when I feel weak and I feel resourceless? That can come upon you. Because you feel strong now doesn't mean that later on today, next week, there isn't going to be an event or something or whatever it is where a mood arrives. All right? Don't stay there. Don't stay there. That's when you say, if this was the last day on earth I had, this is not the way I'm going to waste it. I'm not wasting it. What is the best? What is the best thing I can do for myself and someone else? If you want to help yourself, you can't get it going for yourself. You want to feel good? Do something kind for someone else with no credit, with no expectation that they're even going to notice it. If you're having trouble boosting yourself, help somebody else. Make sure it's something they want, by the way. All right, don't think for them. Giving somebody else a leg up or a boost. Okay? And you're going to feel a whole lot better about yourself. You got one more thing to add to the strengths. Kindness beats smart every time. Kindness and compassion beats smart every time. I don't care how successful the person is. I don't care how famous they are. I don't care how beautiful they are. I don't care if they stand on their head and spit nickels. All right? Kind and compassionate beats smart and successful every single time. And that's something to take pride in when you're feeling resourceless, you're feeling vulnerable, and you can remind yourself, I'm not just a good human being, okay, but I'm kind. And so it's time to be kind to myself. It's time to spread the wealth to myself. All right? And remind yourself, I actually have at other times had these strengths. I don't feel it right now. And when I've struggled, okay, what has worked for me as an individual in the past? So you can't come up with the answer. I've handled other challenges. I've managed other challenges. I don't know how I'm going to do this one, but I know I'm capable. I know I can. Will I come out with 100-degree marks? Maybe not, but I know that I can handle this. And now it's time to get started, right? I will also, as an imperfect human being who is worthy, even though I am imperfect, I will commit to doing my best today and to not repeat things that have clearly not worked for me in the past. Remember that one. I may make mistakes, and that's my right as I learn and grow. But I'm worth more. I'm worth more than to repeat old mistakes. All right. I may not do the right thing or the best thing every time, but I am worth more than to waste my time and my life and my hope and my trust in myself by repeating old mistakes. Life is too precious, people. All right. And you are more important than to waste your life, your hope, your energy, your day repeating old mistakes. Why? Because you're not an imposter. You're just imperfect like everybody else. All right. You've got flaws, you've got vulnerabilities. And you, like everyone else, today will continue, I hope, to work on the life you want and you're actually meant to have. Not what was lying around for those people who made no effort and really didn't have a plan, and they got stuck, stayed stuck. There's nothing you want in got stuck, stay stuck. I will ground myself when I'm a little bit like something bobbing along on the surface of the water. I'm not feeling in control. I'm not sure I'm in control. I'm not sure I have control. All right. I will ground myself with compassion. First and foremost, compassion. That's not poor me. That's it's okay. We're going to be okay. We don't know how right now, but we're going to be okay. Take a deep breath. Come on, take a deep breath. And acceptance. I don't need to be anything other than who and what I am. I'm good enough just as I am. I want to be better. I want to be more proficient. I want to be something, but I'm good enough. If I stay right here, I'm good enough. Okay. And I give myself permission while I'm on this path, trying to find my way to where I want to be, where I dream of being. I give myself permission to be less than perfect. And if anybody else judges me, I'm not joining that club because I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to be less than perfect. I'm going to be less than ideal many times while I learn better ways like firewall. And I'm not going to compare myself to other people. I may look and see other people who know something I'd like to know. They're good at things I'd like to be good at, and I may model myself on how they do that and what skills they have to be able to do that. I may ask them for advice. I may ask them to teach me. I may ask them just to have me watch what they do, learn from them, but I'm not going to judge myself against them. And I will always be working from my own strengths. I will always be who I am, not pretending, trying to be somebody else. And I will identify areas that I want to develop more strength and competence in. And to do that, concept neural pathway. Okay, I need my mind, I need my body, I need my whole, the brain controls and organs in our body control the fuel they send. Be really careful that you're not putting gas in a diesel engine. All right, by sending cortisol, other stress hormones, fear. Where do you think you're going on that? All right. You send the wrong fuel to the brain, those neural pathways aren't going to identify what you need identified. They're going to be going, damage control, damage control, damage control, shut down, shut down. So be really careful. Be really careful. It is almost never the event itself that harms you. It is almost always, I would say 99% of the time, the meaning you apply to it, what you tell yourself the meaning is, because that is the power. That is the power you give it, which is why it's so important to fight any impulse you have to blame anybody else or to indulge yourself. Even if you were a victim, you're not today, hopefully. And if you are, contact me. All right. Don't stay in old places. You didn't like it then, and you're not going to like it any better now, and you sure don't want it to be your future. Okay? You're in charge. You may not have the map, but you're in charge. Try little experiments. I do little experiments with myself all the time. I'm experimenting right now. So a very, very, very informed person gave me some advice about a health situation to improve my health. And I have been trying that. When I was told this advice, I thought, are you out of your ever-loving mind? That's not possible. And then I thought, okay, where is that belief all things are possible, Elaine? All right. All right, so what are you going to do here, girlfriend? Do you like this situation? No. Do you want that situation? Yes. Is this wise, informed information? Yes. Well, what's the worst that could happen if you try it? So for the last 3-4 days and today, I'm trying it. Woo! There's a lot to be said for trying little experiments. Sometimes good advice is actually good advice, but you can't know that. You can't know that it's useful to you until you actually try it. You can't try it in your head. You have to have faith. You have to know it in your head. You have to have faith in your head. Then you got to try it on the outside. And it's working. Yay! Okay, so commit to small, regular, maybe even daily experiments with yourself. Try a new approach. When I get increasingly slightly better, and you get increasingly slightly better, whatever I'm trying to do and think differently about, because I don't know everything, all right? But I know that I will validate any progress I'm making if I've actually experimented with it. I now have a memory to go back. I now have a better behavior pattern. Even if you didn't get it 100%, you now know the dance steps better. All right, and that is a more powerful resource, internal resource. So what is it you want to change? Where is what you need? How do you get enough of it to make the difference? What little tiny experiments regularly could you run for yourself this week to move yourself forward? Continuous improvement with some setbacks. We're talking progressive here, little by little, with hiccups in between. You will build, you will claim your own self-esteem. You'll also have more ability to control your emotions because you will have more of the legitimate you with your face on the picture, on the map. All right. Experience, tiny little experiences. That'll allow you to respect what you're telling yourself. It's not a matter now of having faith. Now you got experience. It only has to be tiny little chunks of attached, continuous, progressive experience. All right. You respect them. You'll let them guide your choices then. You'll have more choices. When you sit and ponder what the right way to do it is, what the ideal way to do it is, you're going to sit for a long time. All right, you're going to sit for a long time. You keep yourself stuck. Because if you let yourself guide your choices without, so you run the experiment, you integrate the information on the other side of your brain. You now have both sides of your brain working for you. All right. Try it, experience it, integrate it, assimilate it, other side of the brain. Now you've got hope and reason. So now you're coming to the next challenge you want as a more integrated me team. You've got two sides of your brain acting as a team for you. Control your emotions. Be aware of them. Respect them, but don't let them guide your choices. Don't go to fear. Go to fact. Go to best source information if you don't have facts. All right? And then practice it. So it's here, now it's here. And that creates the me team. That creates the integrated me team. Both sides of your brain working for you. Experience. And you'll choose from there on, you have a wider range of experience to judge and choose what to believe in and what to act on. Baby steps all the time. So much for bye-bye imposter syndrome, okay? Because now you're operating from here and here, and you're accepting your imperfections. You're setting small, smart, reachable goals, not the biggies, just what's the next step? Okay, have I got that one nailed? What's the next step? And at the same time, you're adding fuel to it. It isn't just people, so many people say to me, you know, I do it, but I just don't have, I'm not feeling motivated. And I say, what are you using for fuel? When was the last time you filled your tank? What did you fill it with? Fear? Shame? Stress? Okay, that isn't even going to turn the engine over. It's going to keep you in the laneway. Because when you fill the tank with, keep the faith. I've had other challenges. I manage those. I don't know how I'm going to handle this, but I'm going to. I know I'm going to. And what do I need? Where is it? How do I get enough of it to make the difference? Okay, and what sense do I make of that? What would be the first possible step? Doable, smart, small step that leads you where you want to go, which is why you're here. I'm sure you've got better things to do with your Wednesday mornings. Okay, what is it you're looking for? What is the first baby step? Try a little experiment today while you're feeling motivated, just a little one. And out of it, even if it is a complete foul up, you now know more than you did before you tried the experiment. Don't do that again. What's the alternative? What did you learn from this? Adapt the experiment. Baby steps. Accept your imperfections. In Conquer the Clutter, I talk about SMART goals, and they're important, all right? They're not big, they're important because you need to be specific. What you're aiming for needs to be, when you're running an experiment, specific. It needs to be measurable. How big? How small? How do you know when it's what you're looking for? It needs to be achievable. I personally would like to be a brain surgeon, but as somebody who can't keep cement wall and firewall straight, probably not on the agenda. Okay? Okay. It has to be realistic. Okay. I also would like to march into the jungle and sit with the mountain gorillas. And I will do that, but it's not realistic at this time. My son says he'll carry my pack, but he's not carrying me. So I've got to get in shape. Realistic. And it has to be time specific. When do you know you're done that experiment? Why is it important to know you're done? Because you want to assess how you'd adjust that, what you could have done more simply, because you don't want to waste all your energy trying. You actually like to make a little progress. So adapt, adapt, adapt. Being imperfect the whole way along. All right? Small, steady, and progressive beats illusion and facade. That illusion and facade that any of you to any degree live with imposter syndrome are hiding behind or have been hiding behind. All right. Let's get started with a plan to get out from behind the facade. And we're going to do that next week. All right. We're going to do a self-assessment. We're going to do a personal inventory. And I'm going to ask you next week, really, truly, what are those strengths? And how well do you trust them? Come on back next week and we will carry on. And then when we're finished the imposter syndrome, I'm going to coach you on how to say no and feel really good about it. All right, because the inability to say no, or to say no and feel dreadful, disentitled to saying no, right, is a big impediment to the energy you need to be authentically you. That's not selfishly you. That's authentically you. Because when you were born, when I was born, we were entitled to space we get. Each one of us gets time and space on this universe. That's why we're here. We're supposed to do something with it for ourselves and for others, I believe. There's the Canadian in me again. And you're entitled to your space. You're not entitled to anybody else's. All right, that was the narcissists. We're not one of those. All right. And in order to have respect and hold it for ourselves, we need to be able to say no. And we need not to carry a burden that's like carrying a huge weight when we do it, that slows us down or disrupts us or haunts us. I will see you next week, and we will continue with and probably finish imposter syndrome. You take care, and we'll save all the messages as well. Okay, Chantal?
Okay.
Take care, everybody. See you next week.